So, covering the Silver Bullet tool and how to set it up. So, if you don't already have it, go to indicators, and it should be in your personal or your invite only indicators. And then you could look for it. It should be the D1 Silver Bullet trading system right there. So, once you click on that, it'll put it in here. And you can either double click on that or double click on this area here, and it'll pull up the settings. So, for the settings, we're just going to copy them from the Discord here so you can see indicator silver bullet. And so Cam has posted some good settings. And this is from the account that has maximum data.
Yeah.
Oh, let me mute him. So these have the maximum data um, that you can use. But so this is a setting for gold. So let's go over to gold. I'm going to set this up real quick. Okay, it's right here. So we'll go to gold, our 5 minute chart. I think you have to be on the 5 minute for this one. And so we're going to go ahead and copy these gold settings over. So trading session is going to be between 9 and 10. And so I'm going to come back over here and I'll just leave it over here. So I'm going to change my settings to 9 and 10. It's already there. Session close 15:45 to 6. My minimum gap size is 0.5. I think I set it up this morning. Max move size is 500. We're going to be looking at both gaps. There's going to be no daily bias. Risk reward is going to be 1, and max daily trades is going to be 2. And the opening range is between 8 and 9. So the opening range is going to be the range that it begins looking for it. So it says 8 and 9, but this is New York time. So it's going to be 1 hour difference. You can see it's 9 and 10 down here at the bottom. And so what it's going to do is it's going to look for a silver bullet. So I'll show you how it works. So the trading session begins here. You can see that with the blue box, and it trades around. That candle closes, and we create our first fair value gap. Now, we created another fair value gap. When this candle closes, we trade into it, and the system takes a long. So what you're going to do is you're going to place your long there, and you can just drag to a random TP and keep your stop really in the area. And then that next trade or that next candle, as soon as this candle closes, it's going to give you your stop loss and your TP settings. Now we just set those here as a 1-to-1. And so right now you can see over the last 50 trades, we've had some pretty good numbers, pretty good profit factor. Um, Now we can change these settings, right? So we know that this is about 71%. If we want a little bit more, we can select to go to a 2-to-1. So now it's going to pull up 2-to-1 setups. But like you saw, right, you know that this is only about a 45% chance. Now with the probability tool, what kind of data do we look for? Well, 40 to 60%. So 44 is still okay. So we know that the majority of the trade probably needs to be taken off at the 1-to-1 because that's pretty solid data. And so it hits there, TP would have been hit. Now, if you want to leave a runner, I suggest doing it this way. So now you can TP here, take most of your trade off, right? Pull your stop to break even and just let the rest ride. And it will either stop you out or run up to your next TP. So it's really about what you want. But you can use the data to try to help give you an edge or a leg up on what might happen and where price is likely to go. Right now, you could change and mess with different settings. So say that we wanted to, right? Say we took that setup, um, and we were looking for another one, right? So we'll set it back to a 1-to-1, leave it there. Now, what if we change the hours? What if we traded it at 11 to 12? Let's go one more hour. So let's go 12 to 1. Okay, so we're starting our next trading session, right? So right here, it sees two bullish fair value gaps, but why did it not take it? It didn't take it because the minimum gap size here is 0.5. So this needs to be at least a half of a tick gap for it to register it as something that it's going to take. Now, how can we get it to take that? We could probably go a zero point 0.1 gap. And look, now it'll put you in it. And the data is actually not terrible, but you can look for little scalps. That way, this one would have gotten stopped out. Um, but we'll just leave that at zero point 0.5 for now. The data is actually seems to be about the same. So right there, leaving it at zero point 0.5, it would have got us in a long here. And then that next candle would have given us our stop loss and our TP. Again, it's just a 1-to-1. Stopped out on that one. And so we really, we still could have taken this one, but I do want you to notice it took the trade right at the end of the hour. So it would, if you're going to be taking the trade in like the last 5 minutes of the hour, I would just go ahead and look at the data for the next hour. So I would just do something like this. Yeah, and maybe you would have taken that trade, but if you'd have gone for the next hour, you'd have at least had a winner. So right here between 1 and 2, you see it's got about a 52% win rate, not a great profit factor at all over about 40 trades. So this is probably just an average setup here, but in this instance, you could see it would have worked. You would have at least got a 1-to-1 out of it. This is great for just short-term scalps, things like that. But and you could even set it for, if you find like a big range that you like, you could set it for 9 o'clock to, let's call it 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock. Say you want to trade the whole thing, and you want to look for larger gaps, like um, a full tick gap. Say no daily bias. Let's go for a 3-to-1, and let's leave the opening range from 8 to, yeah, let's leave it at 8 to 9. So right here, you can see it gives us these trades. Let's replay it here. So if we would have started this one, we could see that the win rate is pretty low and the profit factor is average at best. So that we know that using this entire area is probably not great. You can see here too, the minimum gap size is 1. Let's try it at 0.5. Because it would have taken those trades if we'd have had it at 0.5. Let's see what the data looks like. So the data is just doesn't really improve much. So we'll leave it at 1, even though it probably would have taken that one in 1. We could still look. Okay, so there's one that it would have taken. And again, if we want to improve these numbers, what's a good way that we can at least improve our win rate? If we're not looking for 3-to-1, maybe we could look for a 2-to-1. Watch that win rate. Now it's about 50%. So that's something we could look for. Especially if you like winning setups, or if you get angry when you lose setups, make sure you're trading something like 60% probability and better. Because remember, the range for them typically is, we're thinking about them in a 40 or 60% range. Anything lower than 40% or lower, you're going to be a bit frustrated with, because you're going to have a fair amount of losses. But anything 60% and higher is kind of ideal, especially if you like to win. I mean, who doesn't like to win, right? But I'm just saying, if you're not one of those guys that has to scalp all day, if you're someone who needs a setup every single day, or needs 2 or 3 setups every single day, you're going to have to be okay with taking trades around 40%, 50% sometimes. If you're okay with taking, your 3 to 5 trades, maybe 6 trades every week, you could be in that 60% range and higher. That's what I recommend. 40%, you'll make more money scalping, because you're taking more trades, but you're also going to have thicker skin and weather a lot more of those storms. But this is just some tips on the tool and setting the tool up. Let me know if you have any questions.